Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of The Monsters Den on this Thursday evening. Thanks for joining us, everybody. It's another one of those what we've been watching and buying episodes that we know you guys all love so much. Let me introduce the crew. Jamie Laszlo is in the house. We've got Craig Kaminsky. Once again, we're keeping him up so damn late. Jesus, Davey Gallagher is here all the way from Scotland. And the king is here, Chris Allo. What's going on, my friends? How are you?
What's going on, fellas?
Hello.
Yeah, we're gonna do one trip around the Zoom here and just kind of talk about some of the stuff we've been watching, maybe some stuff we picked up, or maybe stuff that we've had for a while that we watched again because it was Halloween season just recently. I know we always like to watch some. I mean, Davies watched lots of films during Halloween season. He's been on a Hammerthon, right?
Hammerween.
Never
Davies
again.
like, what did I get myself into, right?
That's all I'm going to do tonight is count them up again.
All right, Mr. Allo, kickstart us off here with what you've been watching of late.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I had some extra free time around Halloween season, so I did watch a bunch of stuff. I'll go through it real quick. This first one is the very definition of one of your famous sayings, Pete. The curse is real, because I first got this movie on bootleg VHS. Never watched it. Then I purchased a bootleg DVD. Never watched it, and now I finally purchased the Blu-ray, and I'm like, it's okay. Cry of a Prostitute, starring Henry Silva and Barbara Boucher. Prostitute really has nothing to do with this movie. Basically, it's an Italian crime film from the 70s, and it's not as good as some of Henry Silva's other Italian crime films, like The Boss and Almost Human, but it's okay. But yeah, I should have stuck with one of those other two copies. I didn't really need it. This is a movie that I've had the Blu-ray for a while. I remember reading about it as a kid because, like Pete, I was a big comic book fan. Never knew the comic or the pulp comics, and I finally, bought the movie, and I was like, oh God, why did I buy this? Doc Savage, Man of Bronze. I did not like it. Yeah, I thought it was a shitter. I thought it was like a shitty like if you took a super, it's just super campy, like from
Totally
the
can't.
yeah, it's like Batman 66, but like not good like that with a big muscle
I'm a
guy.
huge fan of the Doc Savage books. I have all
Okay.
of them and the comics and all that stuff. That is super campy. I find it fun, but I could totally see people who are like not really into the Doc Savage character and all of his crew. If you're not really a fan, I could totally see people hating that movie.
And that's the thing. Like the Doc Savage guy was fine. He's got not one, not two. He's got five comedic sidekicks in this fucking movie.
Yeah, and they
It was
made
like,
it too
oh my
comedic in
God.
the movie because in the books they're not all comedic like that at all. Like two
Gotcha.
of them are. That's it. The rest of them are very serious. Yeah, they went too far into the camp side for that, but I like it. I think it's
Yeah,
fun.
I mean, I was glad I finally watched it, but I had to watch like a good chunk of it and fast forward, so I'll never watch it again. This is a favorite of mine that I finally watched the 4K of, Rolling Thunder, which I love this movie. It's one of the best revenge movies ever. I did think the disc looked phenomenal. I didn't get a chance to dive into the extras. I had this already, but of course I had to buy it again because now there's the newer Halloween 4K. So I did watch one and two on Halloween night of these are the 4Ks from Shout Factory, and man, I did think, yeah, both movies looked fantastic. And yeah, I thought both movies really hold up. I still really have a soft spot for Halloween 2. Maybe just because the four nurses in the movie are really cute, but I still really like that movie. Um, this one's somewhat new, a couple weeks ago. This is the new 4K of Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 1. And I thought it was really cool. I was not going to buy it again because I already bought it a million times. But they were like, okay, first time ever, that's the uncut version. So that, like, 30 extra seconds of gore is actually in the movie. And it is cool. It is cool to see a little extra splatter here and there. But I thought they did a really good job on the print of the movie, so I enjoyed it. Maniac. I've had this 4K on my shelf forever, and I finally rewatched it, and I'm like, Jesus, this movie is fucking
It
insane.
totally
Like
is.
Yeah.
the last time that I saw it was when I borrowed a 35 millimeter film print of it and ran it at the local theater, and maybe I was a little buzzed, but I'm like, oh my God, there's like no plot for like 40 minutes. Like Joe Spinell is amazing, but he doesn't talk to anybody for like half the movie, and then Caroline Munro comes in and she looks amazing, and all of a sudden it switches, and he's like Mr. Dapper Dan. And I'm like, I do remember asking William Lustig once, like, was that all made up? Like, because, Caroline Munro is this beautiful girl, and he, not once, but twice in the fucking movie, he's just like, what are you doing? Can I take you to dinner? And she's like, sure, give me 10 minutes. I'm like, what fucking beautiful woman is waiting around for 10 and is like, oh yeah, just waiting for the phone to ring and I could be ready in 10 minutes. No way. Total fantasy. But disc looks great and it was cool to watch.
Chris and I didn't talk about it, but I watched that on Halloween night, and I've had the 4K for like over a year. I finally got around to watching it, and I've seen it before, but I'm like kind of like the other night I'm watching it, and I'm kind of like this movie is just like totally, totally nuts.
It's
It's just
nuts. I mean, there's like, right, Pete, there's like hardly any plot. Like there's nothing to it.
and it's great how Tom Savini, who did the special effects, has the greatest death scene in the
Oh,
entire movie himself,
right.
right? It's
And he
awesome.
shoots himself. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy. But yeah, it's a lot of fun,
yeah,
super gory, but
yeah.
yeah, just a crazy, crazy flick. One of my favorite exploitation films ever, which of course this is like my third or fourth time buying it. The Black Gestapo.
Uh-huh.
Never thought I'd have a fucking Blu-ray, let alone a 4K of this. But man, one of my favorite super low budget black exploitation films ever. Looked great. And this one, to quote Siskel and Ebert, was kind of the dog of the week. I love this movie. One of my favorites. One of the greatest monster movies ever. But when watching the 4K, I was like, man, like, I really didn't think it looked that good. And I'm tempted to pull out the Blu-ray and do the side by side because I was like, it just didn't look that good. Pumpkinhead, the Pumpkinhead 4K, which I had previously on VHS and DVD and Blu-ray, but I don't know. It's one of those ones where I'm like, did I need to spend the extra $30 to buy this movie
See, I have the
again?
steel book of the Blu-ray, and I think it looks fantastic.
The Blu-ray, yeah. See,
Yeah, but
now I have
I didn't buy the 4K. I was like,
right. Well, maybe you shouldn't because, like I said, I have the I don't think it's a steel book, the one I have, the other Blu-ray, but I was kind of disappointed with the picture quality.
hmm,
I mean,
great film.
I'm stuck with it now. So, but yeah, so that's my list of crap I've been watching.
All right, some good stuff there. Davey, what do you got?
Hello. As we mentioned off air, we're trying to keep this one a little bit shorter this week. So I'm going to cut out a lot of my pickups, of which I have them sitting here, but I'll do a separate video on those on my channel, including, look, I got a nice fancy promo from Warner Brothers. Um, it's Nightmare on Elm Street. But I've been to the theatre. Look, that's fancy effects. Don't say that we don't get our value for money at a Zoom. So I'm focusing on films that we haven't done shows on, but people in the comments have been asking for basically just quick thoughts on quite a few of the ones that I've seen. So I haven't been to the pictures as often as I should like this year, for various reasons. But I'll run through ones that I've either seen in the pictures or have now seen that they're on streaming, or a couple that I've picked up on Blu-ray. Abigail, which I think it should have been promoted more as a twist, but really the trailer tells you everything. That there's a heist and this young girl is abducted. This crew are going to ransom her, and it turns out that the girl is a vampire, and the joke's on them because it's a old gothic house that's all locked up, and they're locked in there with a vampire. It's a really fun movie. It's a bit too long. It's about an hour and 50, but it is quite a black comedy in a lot of places with a wonderful performance from the girl who plays Abigail. With I think it's the last film by Angus Cloud, who was in Euphoria, who passed away very young of an overdose just after the film wrapped. but it's got a great cast. Dan Stevens is in it, who's in about half the movies that I watch these days. Giancarlo Esposito is in it. He's in the other half of the movies that I watch these days. But yeah, really solid little comedy thriller vampire movie, which nice twist on the old ways to do it. The Substance with Demi Moore,
Ooh, yeah.
amazing. Believe the
I
hype.
want to see that. Yeah.
Believe the hype for The Substance. So, I mean, I'd heard, oh, it's this great throwback, and I thought, I didn't even think she was that talented when she was younger. She was just great looking. But what is The Substance going to, is it going to be okay? And, it's just that she's a bit better than expected. No, this film is amazing, and she's fantastic in it. It's got a wonderful structure. It's got a lot to say about aging and the way women are treated in society and the pressures on them. But most importantly, for horror fans, it's pure 1980s David Cronenberg, 100%. The body horror, when it happens, is brilliant. It's physical. There's a little bit of CGI, but it's all physical with a lot of the thing in terms of what's happening with the effects, not in the actual plot itself. But most of all, the film that it reminded me of, effects wise and body horror wise, was the shunting from the end of society. That whole set piece at the end of that film. It goes a lot more extreme than you imagine a Demi Moore movie is going to go. A lot more extreme. It's quite something. A fantastic film, a really good film, and a really good body horror film. So I just can't see most people not loving that who watch this kind of thing. Cuckoo. Dan Stevens was in this because, as I just said, he's in half the movies that I watch. So this is a strange one about a family that moved to a place in Bavaria, and it's one of those films that to talk about it too much is to kind of ruin the point of the film. But they're taken in by this German guy who has a kind of lodge that he has, and it's a community, a commune, and he's doing some kind of experiments. And meanwhile, the young daughter of the family is being stalked essentially by this kind of witchy like figure in the woods. So you think it's going to be a bit more supernatural, but then it leans into more the scientific, mad scientist kind of trope and kind of smashes them together. It's got a great atmosphere. It's a little bit muddled, and I think it needs to go in one or other direction. It needs to be a bit more silly and self-aware, or it needs to be a bit more serious. And I think it kind of misses both marks, but it does have a wonderful vibe and a wonderful atmosphere. It just needs tightened up. I think it needed a redo, but it's still really interesting and very unusual with wonderful performances. Not for everyone, but cuckoo, interesting.
It's on my
Um,
list to watch as well. Yeah.
I think you'd like it, Pete. It's just I think you'll also see they could have just tightened it up a little bit. One that we did the first two in the trilogy on, Maxine, which we didn't do a show on ultimately. I was a bit disappointed with Maxine, I have to say. It was, yeah, I've got, although we're not doing copies, I do have the discs in here, um, along with another one that just hit the deck. But I mean, it was too easy to expect it to be something like Savage Streets, I suppose. But essentially, what we really liked about Pearl was that Pearl did something quite different to its setting. So it's set in the 19, in fact, it was the 19s, wasn't it? It was the World War One period. But it was a 1950s melodrama in style. So it was kind of, it was taking one style of filmmaking and putting it onto another completely different era. This film is 1980s and just acts 1980s, but not Savage Streets. It doesn't do the revenge drama thing. It feels more like uh, the Clint Eastwood film Tightrope, where he's a kind of sleazy cop who's starting to get into kinks and fetishes. It's a bit more like that with a serial killer on the loose. But the big problem is Maxine doesn't have any agency in it. A lot of stuff's happening to her, a lot of stuff's happening around her, but so much of it is happening that doesn't really involve her, or she's quite passive in events. Whereas the whole point of X, especially, is that she grows into becoming the protagonist. Whereas in Maxine, she's very passive for a good chunk of the movie. It does pick up from a lot of the setup of X, but I just don't think it pays it off in a very interesting way. It's by far the lowest of the trilogy, and there's probably a reason why we didn't get as many people saying in the comments, "Why aren't you reviewing that?" as I thought we might, because it's a bit of a damp squib in terms of the first two, and then that. I don't think it lived up to the potential at all, unfortunately. Mia Goth's great, but I just don't think the script was there. Long Legs. Long Legs, new film by Oz Perkins, who I talked about. There you go. Directing Gretel and Hansel a few weeks ago. Once again, he knocks out of the park in terms of atmosphere. The main star of Osgood Perkins films is dread. The tone itself of dread is always the star of his films. He knows how to build it, how to build tension and atmosphere, how to make things feel eerie and creepy without having to resort to cheap tricks. He doesn't do jump scares, there's no CGI, but he manages here to build something that's very slow and patient. I mean, the hype sticker on it, on my one, says something like the best serial killer movie since Silence of the Lambs. It's not as easy a movie as Silence of the Lambs. It's not one that your mum would watch and just like it as a film. It's a much darker, much more cerebral film, much more disturbing, with a great performance from, I can't remember her name, was it Mika something? Who was in It Follows when she was younger, now she's grown up. And Nicolas Cage delivers a villainous performance in it, which is, I mean, if I said Nicolas Cage goes over the top in the film, people will probably imagine what that would be like. It's completely different. He does something that he's never done before in a good way. It's quite a sensational small performance that he gives. He's not in much of the film, but his presence is all over it. And oddly, T-Rex play a massive part in it, where the music of T-Rex is all over it. But you know, at the start of a film, it might have a Bible verse coming up on the screen written to kind of set the atmosphere. It's a quote from Get It On, Bang It Gone. So but that it doesn't do it silly. It kind of uses the dark side of some of Mark Bolan's lyrics and then sets some stuff up later. It's a really strong film. Quite dour and quite depressing. It's not one to get the beers in and get the lads round and have a movie night. It's more one to watch yourself and just one of those films you want to shower afterwards. Um, Talking of which, I didn't think I'd ever be seeing this. So I saw the new Terrifier movie.
Really?
It's not that bad. I mean, it's bad. Okay, it is bad, but it's not that bad. But it is bad. I really want to stress that it is bad. It doubles down on a lot of the gore things, but for the kind of thing, the kind of people who like that thing, that's the kind of thing those people like. So the extremeness of the gore now has gone into the more comical, where Art the clown cuts a girl open by the tits, and we see all the, for lack of a better term, tit meat just flying out the boobs, and quite a striking visual. A guy gets a chainsaw. You know the famous kill in Friday 3, Friday the 13th Part 3, where he's doing the handstand and Jason, it just right down the middle. This does that with a chainsaw, but shows you it in every detail, complete with testicles just falling out, and it's disgusting. It's depraved. But I think it actually started tipping into this is actually quite funny with it now because it's so stupid and so over the top. The penchant for violence is so incredibly bloody and unnecessary. Children are blown up in this film, and I mean proper little children. At a shopping mall for Santa Claus, going to see Santa, they get blown up, and we see their guts and their brains and stuff. It is insane. It's a Christmas film, as I said there, but they didn't do anything. I think they should have called it like Silent Clown, Deadly Clown or something to try and at least liven it up. Because Terrifier 3 doesn't sell it because it came out like what, August, September for a Christmas
Yeah,
film.
it's been out for a while already now.
Yeah, which hey, it's made a lot of money anyway, so the Christmas thing hasn't hurt
Hey,
it.
they're
But
laughing all the way to the bank, so you know.
But yeah, I mean, it's not going to win over any converts. But I thought I need to see if he's improved in any way, shape, or form, and he has. If only because the movie is 40 minutes less than the last one was, because that was an epic. And it does pick up on the characters, so I have to give him that. He's at least persistent, Damien Leone. So, and one of
I'm
the
still not in
actors,
any rush to go out and see it. I don't know about the rest of you guys.
well,
Well, I was going to say, not to interrupt Davey, but I got a digital copy and I watched the first, it is 2 hours and 4 minutes. So I watched the first hour today at lunch, and Davey's right. It's still terrible, but it's the best of the three.
Mhm.
And, it's almost watchable. I mean, he badly needs an editor for sure,
yeah.
because these scenes just drag. But I still don't like it, but he's getting better.
Yeah, how strange that we're giving this a positive review, but still saying it's absolute crap.
Yeah.
So, if Damien
Well,
Leone,
it's an improvement
if
on that second one, man. So
if Damien
Yeah.
goes on to make 100 of these films, he might get up to mediocre eventually. Um, Terrifier, I'm just going off my list here. Godzilla, we didn't cover the new Godzilla versus Kong at any point. It was fine. It basically decided that we can't compete with what Toho have done with -1. So let's double down on the more over the top. Let's go back to a really silly tone, even more than the first Godzilla Kong. This one turns into basically tag team wrestling for Godzilla and Kong, who go to the Hollow Earth and find a couple of, if they're the faces, and they find a couple of heroes down in the Hollow Earth and have the bad guys to face off against. It becomes, I don't know, it's very goofy, but it's still a fun way to spend your time. Godzilla now has a permanent residence in the Colosseum in Rome, which we find out is his preferred place to sleep every night, which I don't know, that cracked me up for some reason. But yeah, it's a fun movie. It's very silly, it's very daft. And guess who was in that? Dan Stevens. That's now three of the films that I've watched this month that Dan Stevens has
gets
been in.
around.
Yes, doesn't say no to anything. And weirdly, a lot of, I mean, the title's almost the same. That's the new Empire, and the new Ghostbusters is the Frozen Empire. A lot of the same story beats as well. A lot of the same things happen beat for beat in both films, which, odd. Um, Speak No Evil with James McAvoy. Um, I don't know if any of you have seen the original from a couple of years ago, Speak No Evil, but it was a really good film. Basically, that nightmare couple that you meet on holiday that, oh, we should stay in touch. It's essentially a film about why you should not stay in touch with these kind of people because they will ruin your life and they will take over and they will be creepy and they will be weird and they will be. Ugh. But this being a Hollywood remake, it completely changes the ending. And it gives it, without spoiling anything, the original had a very Scandinavian bleak ending, which doesn't let people away with things, and it kind of gives you the worst case scenario. This film gives you a happy ending, which is so compromised and such a bullshit ending. Don't remake things if you aren't going to stick to even the rough story of it. If you're just going to, hey, we'll just try and make some money by changing that up and giving it a happy ending, and that'll make it better somehow. It's Blumhouse, so I probably should have expected that kind of bullshit. But the problem is, it's a great film until the last 5 minutes, where it completely shits the bed and decides to tack on a happy ending. Where no, that's not the point of the story at all. It's not a morality tale if you change the ending, if there's no comeuppance at the end. Great performances, and it's a fantastic film, just completely compromised by a studio tacked on ending. Um, and then the last one, Witches, that we were talking about recently. I watched all of that Agatha All Along that was on Marvel Disney Plus.
I haven't seen it. Is it worth it?
Okay. It's okay.
No, it stretches so much. I mean, I like the first episodes, and then it does the usual Disney Plus thing of just there's 2, 3 episodes worth of content, and it goes for 8, no, 9 episodes. It just does not need it. And that's just to set up basically one new plot thread in the whole Wanda Maximoff Vision thing that's going to now carry over to the Vision show that's coming out next year. And it's not worth 9 hours.
Gotcha. Okay. That's all I need to know. Well, yeah, I find that I'm less and less interested in these Marvel shows. I don't know. I just they don't seem like must-see TV for me at all. So no. All right, Jamie.
All right. Um, let's see. I haven't been buying as much as I used to. So I've been streaming some stuff, but I did buy a few things. Let's see here on my list here. When I watch a movie, I type it on my notes app on my phone, and then I know it has to go in my movie diary. And sometimes I procrastinate and I get a long list here, and then I gotta go to the computer and spend like 2 hours putting movies into my diary. It's terrible. But I'm going off that list here. So I streamed In a Violent Nature, which is a slasher film where it's the point of view of the monster, which is interesting. There's a lot of walking in it, though. A hell of a lot of walking from behind, and he's just walking in the woods. It's weird because the people he's killing aren't the main characters. So sometimes you're not even hearing what they're saying around the campfire. It's almost like mumbling because he can't hear them well. So it's there's some interesting kills, some creative kills. I will say that. A girl's head coming through her own stomach, I believe, or something like that. Yeah, it's worth it for the kills, and I don't think it's a long movie. I hear they're making another one. I finally saw an old 70s TV film that I never saw. Gargoyles. I
Oh
finally
yeah.
saw the damn thing, and I'm like, oh, at 55, this is gonna suck for me because I didn't see it as a kid. I thought it was pretty good, and I couldn't believe how much Gargoyles was in the Gargoyles movie.
Oh yeah.
Normally like TV movies, you get it at the end or something. No, they're in it a ton. Yeah, it's pretty
Still not
good.
available on Blu-ray, right? It's like Jesus.
Yeah, the copy I saw.
No, there was two DVDs and unfortunately no Blu-ray yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the quality that I watched it on wasn't that great.
Very tough.
Maxine, it's okay. They made her into it like an anti-hero, which was not the direction I wanted her to go, you know. Uh when it comes to I finally the Mummy was never my favorite Universal monster, so I finished up all the Mummy movies with the Mummy's Ghost, Mummy's Tomb, and Mummy's Curse. Yeah, they're all yeah, yeah. I'm like, yeah, this is why I waited so long. And Phantom of the Opera 1943 with Claude Rains, I finally watched. Oh, that singing, I had to mute it quite a few times.
Yeah.
It was way. I'm like, my God, if I was alive in this time, I would say, I hate music. I fucking hate it, if that's what it is. I rewatched Dead Time Stories. Not great. Not a great movie. What was that from like 87 or 86, I think? Yeah, not great. I bought the Steel Book of Diary of the Dead. I never saw it. I heard bad things, so I never took the time to watch it. It's not good. It's not great at all, but whatever. I did watch Gretel and Hansel, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Only problem was I had to watch it with commercial breaks on the streaming service I had, and I mean they would be abrupt too. Bam, commercial, and I mean it just ruins the atmosphere. And you got the witch pulling out the hair, and it's like the poster, and right in the middle of pulling the hair, boom, use Tide. Fuck you. Never use Tide again. And then I did watch Longlegs. I was a little disappointed with Longlegs. I thought he was doing atmosphere. He was almost like forcing the atmosphere, on you. Ugh. And I didn't know the supernatural was involved with that movie. That threw me for a loop, and I wasn't prepared for that. And I was like, oh, this is silly. It just came off as silly. What I hoped Longlegs would be is what Strange Darlings was, which is a interesting, cool little movie out there that I recommend to everyone. Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner. Great performances by those two. It's a puzzle piece kind of movie where it's 6 chapters, starts with chapter 3, goes to chapter 1, goes to chapter 5. So it gives you puzzle pieces to the story. It's not hard to figure out. It's not as smart as it wants to be, but it's an A for effort in being different. And it's a fun watch. So that's probably the best movie here of the new ones. I had it on DVD, Beast with Five Fingers. I finally got and watched it. Always reminded me of my dad because every time I would bring up the Monsters Den with him, he would say, What was that movie, that old one where the hand was playing the piano? Man, that scared me as a kid." And I would say, "The Beast with Five Fingers, Dad." Look what I bought. Whoa, ho, ho. I walked with a zombie and Seventh Victim.
There you go.
I saw these movies years ago and I didn't remember much, but I just remember thinking, oh, not okay, they're okay. But then I watched you guys' video. I love old movies in 4K. I like to check them out and see how they look. And the art there was like, yeah, I'm gonna give that looks pretty cool. I'm gonna give these another try. So I bought it. It was like when it came out, like $59 or $55. It went down to 29, so I grabbed it. I walked with a zombie, good. Seventh Victim, really good. I really enjoyed that a lot more the second time. So that was cool. And let's see. I got a couple of here's the thing. When I was a kid, about 4 years old, I remember living in Michigan and I was watching TV and saw this thing on TV and I ran upstairs. I said, "Mom, Dad, watching this thing with Frankenstein and Dracula, but it's funny and it's cartoons. Like, what are you watching?" And I didn't know what it was. It really wasn't cartoons, but I didn't know what it was until Google came around where you can like Google things. So between 1974 and like 2001 or 2, I couldn't remember what that was. It was Mad Monster Party is what I was
Oh,
watching back
yeah,
then.
yeah, yeah.
And I still remember Phyllis Diller like in my memory from like 1974. So I picked it up and you know what? It's the first time I watched it since that time.
Awesome.
And I'm like, yeah, this bringing back memories. I remember that day like it was yesterday when I was watching it as a kid. So that was a lot of fun.
That was one of those, gotta watch it every year when I was a kid. It was always was on and always watched it. Yeah, it's great.
Right. Another Rankin Bass I bought was the 4K of The Last Unicorn. So that was kind of cool. It's got that Hobbit look to it, to the animation. Not as good as The Hobbit, but pretty good. And then I watched a 2003 movie, South Korean movie called The Tale of Two Sisters. And that movie is the kind of movie where if we all watched it and when it was over, we'd be talking about it for about an hour and a half, trying to figure that thing out. Man, you want to talk about puzzle pieces. Now, I was following along, but still not everything makes sense in my head. There's all kinds of twists and turns, and I don't want to give away spoilers because I think it should be watched. The only way to stream it is on AMC, so you can like join and then cancel before they charge you and like you get a week. So that's what I did. It's well worth a watch. It's it's the only thing I don't understand is if someone is dying in front of you and you can help, why are you walking away? Why is everyone walking away? I'm still trying to figure out that part of the movie. Other than that, yeah, it's a really good movie. So there you go.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. All right, cool. Craig.
Okay, since we haven't done one of these, what we've been watching since May, that's been that long. So
Crazy.
I've been a busy beaver getting 4Ks. In case you guys didn't know, I had a 4K player that I
How
got
many
earlier.
you have now, Craig?
I don't know. I got quite a few. So here we go. And these are new to me, probably not new to you guys, but still, here we go. So got picked up Fulci's City of the Living Dead. Very good, very good. Since I have a bunch, I don't want to take too long with these. One of my favorites, one that the missus and I like to watch, Brian De Palma's Dressed to Kill. Enjoy this one. And look, Pete, this has a slip cover that says different art.
That's the
I
way to
kept
do
I,
it. That's
I
the way
kept
to
this
do it.
kept the slip
Not
cover with
like
this.
this.
Don't throw it out.
Ooh.
Or they have the reverse, or it's reversible, but that's pretty cool. But always enjoy this movie. This is
Yeah, it's good.
a fun one to watch from 1980. Keeping with Brian De Palma, picked up the Criterion Blowout, which is really good. This comes with a super book inside that gives you all kinds of nice information about the making of the movie and behind the scenes pictures and everything. So great suspense movie with
They do great books in
Travolta.
those releases, the
Yeah,
Criterion.
with Travolta and John Lithgow.
Sometimes they do. Other times it's a one-page thing
Bare
or two.
bones. Yeah,
Yeah.
true, true.
But that one, Blowout's really good. And
Raging Bull's one is so thick it doesn't fit in the. They had to take out the clips. Raging Bull one is so thick.
yeah,
It's nuts.
and I had gotten the Steelbook of Body Double by Brian De Palma also, and this is a lot of fun. I've had watched this somewhat recently, but it's a nice suspense movie, and it has a fun ending and just nice. The picture quality in that is really good, nice and bright, especially with the beach scenes and everything. Some Jallos. So I picked up the Case of the Bloody Iris. So again, this was a classic that I really enjoy with Edwige Finish. Classic, of course, Blood and Black Lace from Mr. Bava.
Mandatory.
Deep Red from
Right.
Argento. And then I had gotten Sergio Martino's Torso from Arrow. This was a good pickup on Barnes and Noble for a while, had half off
I've
for
contemplated
Arrow.
that. I wonder, does it, Davey, have you seen the Blu-ray of that versus the 4K? Does anybody, because I have
Yeah,
the Blu-ray, the Arrow Blu-ray of Torso, and it's fine. I'm just wondering if that's
Yeah,
what.
Same,
and this
Pete.
one does
I
have the
got the
same.
Blu-ray. I keep wondering if I should upgrade it or not.
Yeah,
yeah.
I've been thinking about
I
that.
think it's worth the upgrade personally.
Okay.
But yeah, wait for a sale.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
And speaking of upgrades, I picked up Suspiria,
Oh,
Oh,
you
and
got that.
here's and nice the different artwork on
You're
there.
right, Craig. We really don't need to go into any of these. These are all these are all standards for the day.
Yeah,
Great
thanks
to
for the
have.
tip. Thanks for the tip. And so this is I picked up the Godfather trilogy.
Tell us
So
more about this Godfather and Suspiria.
yeah, I'd gotten the Jaws collection to bookend with my other Jaws movies. So this is and these all look really
Yeah, I
great.
haven't watched mine
Three
yet.
and four look really good in 4K. Jaws 3 and 4.
Three, I was real. Four really looks nice because of all the the bright colors and everything. And three was every time I've seen three, it was kind of smudgy sort of looking, but I thought it looked really nice. So yeah, no complaints there. The only thing that's weird is um, three and four are in Atmos, but then two is in DTS, I think, which was kind of strange. I don't know why they just do all three of them in Atmos. I'd gotten The Last Starfighter on 4K, and this one here is signed by Catherine Mary Stewart. Chris and I went to a uh, toy convention near where I live, and there was lots of celebrities there, and I saw her from a distance and was like, "Oh, I've got to get her to sign my movie." So she was nice as pie and signed my 4K, and so that was really cool.
Greg did really good with his first celebrity interaction.
yes,
Good.
I kept telling him, wipe the sweat off your forehead.
but she was so nice, very friendly, very friendly person. I'd gotten the 4K of Undefeatable from Cynthia Rothrock, and with one of the great final fight scenes in these kung fu movies. Very silly, very over the top, but a good movie. One of my favorites. I know Davey hates it, and I really don't care, and that's Miami Connection.
Oh, yeah, I like
4K.
Miami Connection too.
I
That's a
don't hate
great one.
it. I don't hate
I
it.
love it. I love this movie. Uh, Demons, of course, from Lamberto Bava. This one was I'd gotten when Chris came up for the X Fest. Got it out in the lobby. This is Julie Darling
That's a
from
fun one.
'82 with Anthony Franciosa, Sybil Danning. It has a different title on the inside here,
And
and
is that a 4K or a Blu-ray?
4K.
Wow.
So pretty good, and a nice to see Sybil Danning in a hero sort of role in it, not as the conniving villainous or anything like that. And of course, she makes
Speaking of
great.
X-Fest, before I forget, I saw Mike Gingold at the warehouse last week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was
Just
there with all the
randomly ran into him?
he was with the Spookies guys. They were all having dinner
Ah,
over there,
okay.
hanging out with Dan. So I saw him, and I was like, oh, I missed you this year at the 24 hour thon. He goes, oh, you missed a good one, but you going to X Fest? I'm like, I don't know yet. We'll see, because I guess that's in June. But yeah, it
Yep.
was just weird seeing him there. It's like Dan's like, oh, look who I got in the back, and I'm like, all right. So I went there. They all are sitting having dinner. I'm like, that's quite the motley crew there.
Yeah, interesting.
But last but not least of my pickups is one. I just got this in the mail a couple days ago. Some time ago I watched it over at Chris's house, and I enjoyed it so much I had to buy my own. The Incredible Melting Man
There you
on
go.
Oh
4K,
yeah.
stumbling and dripping.
So
So
boring.
so very much of a fun movie, and so those are my 4K pickups. And I also saw Maxine on HBO Max, and I kind of agree. It was probably the least best of the three. It was okay, but I definitely thought Pearl was the most enjoyable of those three. And then with Jamie just showed. I myself watched The Seventh Victim. Turner Classic showed that on Halloween, and I like that a lot too. Never saw that before, and it was yeah, just interesting that from the early 40s that it had this satanic cult and everything. But yeah, but I liked it.
Good
Nice
film, right? It holds up
nice
really
movie.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, Craig, you're doing good. That's a nice collection you're building there now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
not too shabby.
I'd just like to know what version of the Incredible Melting Man that me and Jamie have seen that you guys haven't, because it's
The good
boring as
one. We got
fuck.
the good one.
Oh boy.
Nothing happens in that
He
fucking
drips.
film.
He
He's
melts.
stumbling and
Oh,
dripping.
He
He
Yeah.
just
walks
drips,
through the
man.
That's
woods.
what I was gonna. That's
He
another
gets
walking movie.
he gets swept off his feet at the end too.
Yeah, it's fun.
all right. So a couple crossovers here. So I also picked up and I actually watched Maxine. It's on Max, I believe. Is it on Max? I watched it
Maxine.
and then I went and got it. Yeah, it's the least successful of the three. I still thought it was fun though. I didn't mind it, but yeah, all your points were kind of where I was going to. But I like the other two better. But I still thought it was fun. As Chris mentioned, I watched Maniac as well. Loads and loads of fun. I really liked Longlegs a lot. I thought this was really good. It's disturbing, it's bleak, and he's just like crazy in this movie. Just, I mean, first of all, if you didn't know it was Nicolas Cage, you would never, he doesn't look anything like himself. He's wearing so much prosthetic makeup. But I just think as a serial killer movie, it just goes places where others that we all talk about don't go. And I didn't mind the kind of little supernatural twist to it. I thought it was really well done, very disturbing and atmospheric, and I really liked it a lot.
It was nice to see Blair Underwood again. I haven't seen
He's
him in a
great in it. He's
It's really good in
fantastic.
it. Yeah, really good in it. Well, the acting was great in it across the board. I mean, everybody in the movie really good. The lead character, she was great. I forget what, Mika Monroe, really good. Uh, I watched this again. If you guys haven't seen Malignant, this is like batshit crazy.
crazy.
So good. I mean, this is it's a James Wan flick, but it's very different than a lot of the other more commercial stuff that he's done. It's got great special effects and gore aplenty. Basically, without giving the film away because you really can't. It's about a chick who kind of has like a split personality, but it's a lot more than just having a split personality. It's kind of like a body horror film too. I highly recommend Malignant. Loads and loads of fun. Just off the wall. Crazy, crazy. I rewatched again because I love it. Mill of the Stone Woman. Speaking of great arrow sets, this is just amazing. This is just such a good early Italian horror film. Really, really great. Just so atmospheric and so ahead of its time. I watched The Exorcist on Halloween evening because that's what I do every year. Never get tired of it. So good. I watched my 4K of The Hitcher, which looks amazing. So much fun. Such a fun film. Just so relentless. The whole movie's just like, there he is again. There he is again. This guy never gives up. Just so good. Watch Wolf because I think Jamie talked about it on a recent episode, and I realized, God, I never upgraded my DVD, so I went out and got the Blu-ray. Yeah, loads of fun. I always loved it. What else? This is really good on 4K as well. RoboCop.
Oh yeah.
So I hadn't seen this in years, and I forgot how violent and bloody this movie is.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh yeah. Well, now that we've got the proper cut, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good, so much fun. A couple Clint Eastwoods here. The Beguiled. I had never seen this before, but I've been on a
Mhm.
Clint Eastwood kind of craze of late, and my wife is always like, "I gotta see the Beguiled. I gotta see the Beguiled." Basically, it's like it's kind of a Western, but not. It's kind of a war movie, but not. It's kind of a thriller, but not. He
It's a
plays
Southern
like
Gothic, really.
it's kind of like a Southern Gothic film, right? Yeah, it's like he plays like this Yankee soldier who kind of gets lost crossing over the kind of the battle lines, whatever, and he winds up at this like school, this missionary school for women, and it's just crazy. And these women, it's you have the like the head mistress, and then the second in command who's one of the teachers, and then all the girl students, and half of them are really hot. They haven't seen or been around a man in forever. And then this good-looking soldier, Yankee soldier, shows up and he's mortally wounded, and they nurse him back to health, and like half of them fall in love with him. And he's like, betting half. It's just a crazy, crazy movie. And then it turns into like a little revenge film at the end. It's totally nuts and like ahead of its time. Loads and loads of fun.
60s? Is that 60s?
71.
71, I think it
72
was.
or
71.
yeah.
71. Really, really good. Highly recommend it. And then later in his career, The Mule, which I think is just a fabulous, fabulous film. Here's Clint, really old, he's an old cranky guy, and he winds up running drugs for the cartel all across the country. And it's just crazy, crazy fun movie. And then lastly, I've been watching stuff on Shudder. I think most of you guys will have a blast with this film. It's called Suitable Flesh with Heather Graham and
Oh yeah.
Barbara
Barbara
Crampton.
Crampton. Yeah.
Yeah, we watched that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just totally a different twist on kind of like demonic possession type of thing. Loads of sex and nudity and just absolutely just nuts. I enjoyed that. It's a lot of fun. And then I saw a film called Anything for Jackson, which another really highly rated, more recent film that I thought was really fun. It's about this elderly couple, married couple, who are also Satanists, who lose their grandson. He winds up dying in a freak accident, and they're like mourning his death. And what they decide to do is like, let's do like this satanic ritual and bring him back from the dead. And the way to do that is to kidnap a woman who is pregnant about to give birth, and the husband is a doctor. So this woman who they bring in is one of his patients. She's about to give birth. They capture her, they kidnap her, and they grab this old satanic book, and they do this whole ritual to bring the spirit of their dead grandson into the unborn baby. So when she has the baby, it's basically going to be their grandson. Doesn't quite go according to plan, and all of a sudden, what they wind up doing in this ceremony, without giving too much away, is they conjure up a lot more than they bargained for, and it doesn't turn out good for anybody. Really, really fun movie, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. A little bit offbeat and a little kind of different take on the whole satanic thing, Rosemary's Baby, but good gore, good special effects. And it's bleak as all hell. Really, really good. So that's Anything for Jackson. And I think that's all I got. Yeah, that's it.
Saw Oddity.
Oh, Oddity. Duh, duh. Yeah. All right. So I saw Oddity. I loved Oddity. I thought it was really good, really, really different and
Creepy.
creepy. Good effects. One of those movies where like, the majority of the film takes place in like one, this one house, and yeah, kind of keeps you guessing till the end. Interesting how they have, one actress plays like a dual role, plays two sisters, and it's got kind of like a cool creature in it, and just really unnerving scenes. I really enjoyed it a lot, and that was a Jamie recommendation from a bunch of episodes ago that I finally saw was available to watch, and I was like, all right, and that I will be buying that one. I believe that was a good one. So yeah. lot of good recommendations tonight, guys, I think, right? All sorts of cool stuff. So there you have it, everybody. Let us know what you've been watching, purchasing, all that good stuff, whether it be physical copy or stuff you've been streaming online. Put it down in the comments below, and we'll see you next time here on the Monsters Den. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube all together.
Oh,
Well,
that
Anytime.
please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as a post. And please do hit the like button before you leave. For Jamie Laszlo, Craig Kaminsky, Chris Allo, and Davey Gallagher, and Dan Brown, wherever he might be tonight, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching us. See you soon here on The Monsters Den. Later.